Hello and welcome to the first module of Voxes. Who am I? Now, a lot of people, when I work with them about finding their passion, finding their purpose, finding their calling, finding a better career, there is always this question: which company should I go to? How should I start my own business? And why should I even care about who am I? Now, you are the source of your career and you're definitely the source of your business. So you need to know that source. You need to know what are your strengths, you need to know what is your self-image and all the things that we're going to talk about in this module. So this is really crucial. In my experience as a career coach, the more you spend time reflecting on who you are and working on who you are, the better outcomes you'll get. So this is a really important part. In this module, we will definitely focus on self-knowledge, self-awareness, and three main aspects which we're going to talk about. The first one is self-image, then we'll talk about your purpose, and then we'll talk about values. So let's jump into the self-image. Now, there is this concept, as you can see here, about the personal myth, which I believe is crucial before we begin any journey of finding our calling, vocation, or the best industry or career for us. And what is the personal myth? First of all, what is a myth? A myth is something that people create as an explanation of how the world functions and how the world operates. There is definitely some wisdom in most of the myths and legends we know of, because they explain natural phenomena, they explain things that people observe in their lives, but the question is, are those true? And most of the time the answer is no. As we grow as humans, as we begin our journey into this world, we encounter a lot of people, circumstances, and then based on the interaction with those people and those circumstances, we form our personal myth. And let me give you an example. I used to work with a girl who lived in a small village. Then she came to the big city. So once she came to the big city, she came with all her knowledge, with all her discipline, and she was probably the most disciplined and the smartest girl in her class. And what happened is that she would definitely have some talents she was displaying in class. So you would see her standing in the first desk, raising her hand, participating, giving answers, and being very smart. And obviously having some talents, mainly in mathematics and also some in some humanitarian disciplines. What happened one day after school is that there was this group of girls who waited for her and beat her. And so she formed the belief that if she shows what she's good at and if she demonstrates her talents, that would put her in danger. Now, this is not always a conscious process. Most of the time, it's actually unconscious. So what happened with that girl is that when she came to me at age 25, she believed she had no talents and she believed she's good at nothing. Why? Because early on, she formed this myth of her being in danger if she demonstrates any of her talents or her personal strengths. So before we begin the journey of finding out what you're good at and how you can create the career you love, we definitely need to go through the topic of the personal myth. So in this module, you have this worksheet, which I suggest you either download or print, whatever works for you. And here are the instructions of what you need to do with it and how you should fill it out. On the left hand side where it says the myth, you see three sections. The first one is I can't, the second one I'm not, and the third one I don't have. So I suggest that you spend some time reflecting and meditating. Make sure that you have no things to attend to, that you have taken some food, maybe grab a coffee or a beer or whatever you prefer drinking, and spend some time with yourself thinking about everyone, whoever told you you can't, you're not, or you don't have. Also, think about situations in your life in which you ended up believing you can't, you are not, or you don't have. Spend some time reflecting put the focus inside of you, go back in time and just search for these situations. The advice that I always give here is be a detective in your inner world. So be a detective in your inner world, turn inwards and start searching for those people who might have loved you and who probably had good intentions, but at certain point with their best intentions they might have given the message that you cannot do something, that you are not something, or that you don't have something. To help out, I'll give another example with a man I worked with who had a very, very strong father figure in his life. And because he's very creative, he turned out to be a creative director of one of the biggest marketing agencies in town. However, at the beginning, he got the message from his father: I don't have money because I'm an artist, and artists don't make money. And his father was a military, also not necessarily very rich, but he had this belief that artists don't make money, and he transferred this belief, this myth, onto his son, and it took him some time until he kind of demystified or transformed that myth. So the first part is think about people in your life, situations which might have given those messages, and write them down. This is the first part. The second part, as you see here, is the force. Now, what is the force? We don't necessarily use some of the advice that self-help guru gives us, and we don't necessarily transform the left-hand side into a positive statement. What we do is we make an active statement. So if here it says I can't draw, and you put I can draw, this will do nothing. Why? Because your subconscious mind won't buy that idea, it just won't believe it. So what you do here is you can put I can't draw, and where it says the force, the statement would be I am learning to draw, or I'm improving my drawing skills. The whole point for the right hand side is that you are going to put an active statement, something that's within your circle of control and you are going to do in order to transform this negative statement. For I am not, you can say I'm not good enough at business, and the force or the reinforcing statement would be I am learning how to do business better, or I am doing steps to do business better every day. So the important part is that on the right hand side, you're not just writing a positive affirmation, you're writing a statement of something that you are doing in order to be able to be or to have. So something that you are doing so that you can be good at something, or you can do something, or you have something. Even if you have a negative belief or myth about I don't have courage, here what you can put down is I am making small courageous actions every day. So this is just the first part of the activity. For the left hand side, you would take a coffee, a beer, whatever, and you would go somewhere in the woods, in the park, or in a room that's free of any distractions, and you would just feel it out. Then you are going to transform this into a reinforcing statement where you are the active part and you are doing something in order to be able to be or to have. And this is just the first part. Feeling that out is the first part. The second part is from each statement on the right hand side, take just one which feels is the most important to you and start doing small actions towards it every single day for at least a week. And a week it's really the bare minimum. But what you would do here, you would choose just one thing and you would start making steps towards it. So for example, if you have I am learning to draw, so how are you going to do that on a daily basis? What are the daily actions that you're going to do? If you have put here I'm learning how to do business, what are the small steps you're going to do on a daily basis? If here I don't have courage, you have transformed into I'm doing courageous actions every day, just mark each day in which you have done a courageous action. This is very important because before we turn into your strengths, your talents, or even your career plan, if we don't transform this myth one way or another, it will definitely interfere with whatever we want to create. So we want to start creating and exploring what is your best career, or what is the best industry for you, or what is your big goal. We want to start exploring this from a space of the force and a self-image that you have for yourself, which is healthy and which is definitely more positive than the myth. Now, a lot of people here say, oh, I know about this, I worked a lot, I really don't need this. Honestly, I myself have been working with this for over 10 years, and I do this on a regular basis. Definitely, on every New Year's, I just take a day where I go through the whole process. And sometimes when it comes to relationship, career, money, whatever, when I feel something is not going well, I always start with exploring the myth and transforming it, and it always gives the best result. So the first part of module 1 is self-image. How you've come to see yourself based on your interactions with people who had best intentions and situations in your life, and how you can transform it in a more healthy and definitely more positive way. Okay, so we are moving forward with the second part of module 1, who am I? And this is my purpose and my passion. Uncovering your purpose, and then later on your passion. Now again, this is the most intangible module, so it's very difficult to see the results of it right away. Like you wake up on the next morning and everything that you ever wanted out of this life, it's already there. However, this is something that if you do, you are definitely going to get significantly better results in your life. So imagine this module as the soil, as working on the soil, so that everything you plant in it grows bigger, faster and healthier. The first part we looked at was the personal myth, all those beliefs we have accumulated about ourselves. This second part, it's the topic of purpose and passion. If you look at every great religion or culture, from some of the Sufi tradition to the Bhagavad Gita in India, which is a really interesting text I believe everyone should read, almost every tradition, cultural or religious, speaks about the theme of purpose and the fact that we all have some sort of purpose that we're here to fulfill. Now, whether you believe that or not, motivational science tells us that we are motivated mostly by things that matter to us, that are deeply important to us, which is why we're going to the second part of this module, my purpose. This is the worksheet for it. Again, you can download it or print it, whatever works best for you. I would say download it, it's better than print it. And then you have a guided meditation for both my purpose and my passion. So here I'm just going to explain briefly what you're supposed to do with that meditation, number 1. And number 2, how you can continue exploring this and using it in building your career. So, the topic of the purpose again has 4 questions that you see here. When we look at who am I, a lot of people here, at least at the beginning when they do the meditation and when they do the activity, they start with some more, I would say, superficial answers, which is okay. We all start from there before we dive deeper. But then the purpose is to get to something that really resonates with you and an image that you would love to have for yourself. Because you can see, for instance, if you look at movies like The Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith there, or the main characters, for those of you who have not seen it, you would see video for that film linked to the module. But definitely what would happen is that when people are in difficult situations, like the main character in The Pursuit of Happiness, it's a father going on an internship in a big company, and then definitely not having a lot of money and having to sometimes even sleep in public spaces with his child. So the image he has for himself, it's the image of a father who can provide for his son and a father who is an example. And because of that image, he has the motivation and the perseverance to go through all the challenges and reach his final goal. So whenever we really connect with that deeper purpose or deeper self-image that we have of something that's very important to us, and in the third part we're also going to talk about values, we have the motivation to go through whatever we should go through in order to achieve our goal. So when you listen to the meditation for who am I, what am I about, what do I want to leave behind, and what do I want to create for myself, I suggest that you do that at least a couple of times, if not maybe 3, because the first time what will kind of pop out, it's more superficial. It's maybe things that you've heard, things that are socially accepted, things that are sexy, things that you've seen on Instagram. But when you do it more and more, you would get to that deeper level of the source of your motivation, because this is all about the source of your motivation, your driving engine. And when I do that in trainings, typically we ask those questions and we go through the meditation 7 times, really 7. And it takes a whole day just to do this part. So listen to the meditation. I would say it's a guided meditation. I would say at least 2 or 3 times, and then write down everything that comes to your mind. Now, the meditation has 2 parts. The first is where you have my voice guiding you through whatever you need to do. And then there is space for whatever comes out for you to write down. So for the first part, you would be with your eyes closed, and then you would have an option to, not an option, but definitely you would have to open your eyes and start writing down whatever comes to mind. And for this second part, I would say you can even pause the meditation and write everything that comes to mind without censorship, even if it sounds superficial, silly, if it sounds that it's not making sense. The main instruction there is write down everything that comes to your mind for each one of the questions. Once you're done with this part, you've listened to the meditation, you've written down everything, go through your notes, go through whatever you've written, and when you read it, see what is the emotional reaction that you get. See if there is something that resonates more. And if there is something that resonates more, you can just highlight it and leave it as the main theme for each one of the questions. Now, a lot of people here, they would say, oh, nothing really resonates with me. I don't believe I've gotten somewhere. And if you're one of those people, don't worry, this is about 60% of everyone who does this exercise. So definitely don't worry about it. Just read it again and think which is the one that I feel represents me the fullest or in the best possible way. And then just write it down. It might take some time before you feel that emotional connection, but we will get there. So this is about my purpose. And you see the instruction here, it has to be simple, it has to be brutally honest, don't censor anything that comes to your mind, and also try to be as specific as possible. A lot of times for these questions, very abstract ideas come out, such as I am a creator of my own reality, I'm here to help people. That's great, but just try to be as specific as possible. And the rule of thumb here is, if you tell this to a first grader and he's able to understand it and to picture your answer, you've done a good job. So something important here is, once you've written down everything, if it's way too abstract, try to put a specific example next to it so that when you read it to a first grader, he would be able to understand it. And we are going to my passion. Now, here there are 3 options for you to kind of begin the journey of uncovering your passion, because it definitely won't end with this exercise. And you can write, you can draw, or you can make a mind map, or just whatever you feel like doing. In my experience, especially in life trainings, what works best is for people to draw. Even if you believe you can draw, this is again a myth, and I'm sure that to the extent that's necessary for this activity, you would be able to draw. So listen to the second meditation. Once you're done with it, don't pause it, just it will stop. Write, draw, make a mind map, just everything that comes out, put it on paper, this paper or any other paper. And it's very important that you don't stop the process. So once you start drawing, once you start writing, make sure you're not interrupted, that you have some time and space where you can do this uninterrupted, because it's a very strong process, especially after you listen to the meditation, and you would need some time to put on paper everything that comes out based on it. Which leads us to the third topic, the topic of values. So in the profiling system, you would see the questionnaire about values, and on the app you would also see your option to kind of see what are your living values. So I don't have to go through them here. I will just show you the worksheet which you can use in order to figure out what your values are. And if you're wondering what does this mean, like what do my values mean, you can definitely go to the app, or you can go to the profiling system, and for certain set of values we can see whether you are more made of to be an entrepreneur, to be a freelancer, to work for a big company, to work for a small company, to work for a family business. And again, this is not a definite answer for anyone, but it certainly gives you some sort of directions based on the things that matter to you in your life. What is the best setting? What is the best environment for your career? And the reason we do that is most of the people who don't fit in their career, it's not only based on the fact that it's not their passion or talents, but a lot of times that they're not in sync with their values. So they're not living their values in their career, which is why it sucks for them. And having those questions answered early on, and having in consideration what kind of setting, what kind of environment is in synchrony with your values, I believe this is something that will definitely give you a great start in your career. So I'll show you the worksheet in a second. Again, what does this mean? You can find in the profiling system and in the app. So back to the topic of values. As I mentioned before, on the app and the profiling system, you would see what each value represents, and what is the meaning of it, and also what sort of career setting or environment fits your values best. So this is the first part, and you would choose 4 of them. You can write them down here, or you can just do that directly in the profiling system, and then you would know what's the best career setting for you. Then there is this other part, which is my rules based on my values. Now, a lot of people live not in synchrony with their values, and there comes a time when they want to make a change. And sometimes this is not necessarily a career change or an industry change. This is a change which is motivated by the fact that they have violated some of the internal principles which are important to them. And I'll give you an example here. I had a lady who was just a brilliant manager in a big bank. And she said, oh, I don't want to be in the finance sector anymore. I want to leave, And then we went through the whole process, and it turned out that her profile is just perfect for banking. It's perfect for finance. She has great salary. She can go to work whenever she wants. However, it turns out that in her career and in her personal life, she has violated her values, and she let other people kind of violate those too. So she did change jobs. She went into the finance sector, not in banking, but in a big corporation. But we did work a lot on her making her own rules and not letting anyone break those rules. So once you set your values and you write down what they mean from that other part, here for each one, make one rule for yourself, which you are not going to break, but you're also not going to let other people break. Especially if you want to build a career you love and one day eventually turn it into your own business. This is very, very important.